Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again. Today I want to share some of the delicious soups that I typically serve for the first course at dinner parties here. The soups are easy to make and they all freeze perfectly. When you plan a dinner party, it's a great comfort to know that your first course is already in the freezer, just waiting for you. The first soup we are going to make is a classic leek and potato soup. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 pretty fat leeks here. And I'm going to trim the root end. I've already pretty much cleaned up these leeks. And then we are going to dice, well, roughly dice, the white and tender green part of the leek. These are leeks that I grew in my garden, but you can buy leeks in just about any supermarket. I'm going to give these leeks one good final rinse. And here they are. Then we need 2 medium-sized yellow flesh potatoes. These are Yukon Golds. And we want to peel and just roughly dice the potatoes. I learned how to make leek potato soup when I was about 14 years old. My best friend's mother was born and raised in France. She gave me a paper sack filled with leeks from her garden one day and gave me the recipe for leek soup. And I've been making it ever since. Leek soup is mild and comforting and just, well, I could eat it every day. And our prep work is complete. Let's head over to the stovetop. So I have my Dutch oven set over medium heat. Going to add 4 tablespoons of butter. I want this butter to melt, but I do not want it to color at all. Then add the leeks. Plus 1 tablespoon of salt, grinds of black pepper, toss to coat all of the leeks with the butter, and then lower the heat, cover the pot, and let the leeks simmer until they are tender. That will take about 10 minutes. All right, our leeks are perfectly tender and they have not colored at all. So now we can add 6 cups of water. You could use vegetable stock here, but the recipe that I was given when I was 14 years old just called for water. And we are going to bring this to a boil over high heat. All right, we've come to a boil. So now I'm going to add 1½ tablespoons of cornstarch blended with about 1/4 cup of cold water. We're going to stir this briefly while the mixture thickens. And it has already thickened. So now we can add the potatoes. In you go. Then I will lower the heat and partially cover the pot until the potatoes are tender. That will take 15 to 20 minutes. And 20 minutes later, the potatoes are perfectly tender. So our soup is done. Now, you can serve this soup just as it is for a casual occasion. I would simply garnish each soup bowl with parsley and maybe a drizzle of heavy cream. But for a more formal occasion, such as a dinner party, I think it's more fun to puree the soup to a very smooth consistency. Of course, you want to let the soup cool down for a bit before you put it in your blender. I'm using my Vitamix here. You may need to do the soup in a couple of batches. For the first course at a dinner party, I like to serve this leek soup in two-handled soup cups and garnished with a simple swirl of heavy cream. I will link the recipe in the description box below. Good morning. I hope you slept well. I wanted to show you that I put the leek soup that you and I made together in these freezer containers. And I will be freezing all of the soups that we make in this episode. We put these into the freezer, and then we can get started on the next soup recipe. Our next first course soup is a red bell pepper soup. And it's so delicious that I included it in my 2017 cookbook called Kevin's Kitchen. This is what I wrote about it. This colorful concoction was inspired by produce from my late summer garden. It's scented with thyme, thickened with russet potatoes, and subtly sweetened with red bell peppers. Smashed garlic provides just the right amount of zing. You can find all of the ingredients at your local supermarket, so you can enjoy this soup the year round. And the first thing we need for this soup is a large onion. I'm using a white onion today. I'm going to roughly dice this onion. We can put the onion in a bowl until we need it. Next, we need red bell peppers, about 2 pounds worth of them. These are the peppers that you and I grew together from seed and that we harvested in the previous video. So 2 pounds is roughly 4 large red bell peppers. My peppers are a little more on the medium side, so I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm using 6 of them. Next, we need 2 good-sized russet potatoes. Russet potatoes will give this soup a creamy quality without the need for adding any actual cream. Then we can roughly chop the potatoes. If I didn't mention it before, potatoes are just great for thickening soups. There's really no need to make, let's say, a butter and flour roux as a thickener. I'm cutting this potato into roughly equal-sized pieces so that they cook evenly. Let's head over to the stovetop. I'm using my 5-quart Dutch oven here. We need roughly 2 tablespoons of butter, salted or unsalted as you please, and the same amount, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. When the butter melts, add the onion, the red bell pepper. Also add 2 teaspoons of dried thyme leaves, 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm using kosher salt here. And several grinds of black pepper. You also need 4 or 5 cloves of minced garlic, or you can use garlic paste. There, that's about 5 teaspoons of garlic paste. Give everything a stir. And then lower the heat, cover the pot, and let the vegetables sweat until they are absolutely tender. That will take anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes. All right, my vegetables are perfectly tender. I'm just cutting up these peppers with my spurtle. Okay, and I've turned off the heat, so now we can puree this soup. I will puree the soup in, I think, 2 batches. And of course, we have to add some liquid to the solids. So I have some homemade chicken stock here. I'm going to add, well, this is 4 cups of chicken stock. I'm going to add about 2 cups or so to the vegetables in this batch. We will use a total of 4 cups, or 1 quart of chicken stock for this recipe. This has a beautiful red color, orangish red. I have just washed out my pot because I don't want any little stuck-on bits to be mixed into this very smooth puree. The soup we pureed earlier. Then I'm going to add some chicken stock to my blender. Scrape out all of the red bell pepper soup from my other container here. And then I can blend this so that it picks up any of the soup that is clinging to the walls of the blender. And that's it. Our soup is done. I like to serve this soup with a dollop of creme fraiche and a little sprig of fresh dill. I should mention that this soup is delicious either hot or cold. It really is wonderful for breakfast as well as for the first course at a dinner party. Creme fraiche and a bit of fresh dill. I'm going to sip this. This is absolutely wonderful. I hope you will give it a try. This red bell pepper soup is always a hit at dinner parties. I can link the printable recipe in the description box below. This next soup is shockingly easy to make. It's a pure broccoli soup. And by pure, I mean it's just broccoli and water and salt. I served this soup at a dinner party last year and everybody loved it. Everybody asked for seconds. So I'm just cutting my broccoli into florets. There are no exact proportions for any of the ingredients. I have a big pot of water boiling behind me. Let's pop in the broccoli. We need to season this water rather heavily with salt. Add the broccoli, and then cover the pot and let the broccoli cook for about 4 minutes or just until it's tender. When you can easily cut a broccoli stem, you know that the broccoli is cooked enough. And mine is just right. Off the heat and to the blender. Look at the broccoli. It has actually turned a brighter shade of green because it was in boiling water and we covered the pot. Into the blender. And then we want some of this wonderful broccoli stock. I think Gordon Ramsay made this soup, and that's how I learned about it. And boy, do I love this broccoli bliss. We want to blend this to a smooth puree. I need something in which to put this puree. Look at the brilliant green color. And I will carry on with my remaining broccoli. Oops. Broccoli overboard. Broccoli liqueur. And then we can use a little more of the broccoli liqueur to clean out the blender. My lid. A collection of spoons, because now we have to taste this beautiful soup to determine whether or not it needs more salt. Oh, it's very good, but it will be even better with a little more salt. I'm not looking for a salty taste. I just want enough salt to really enhance the broccoli flavor. Fresh spoon. That is exquisite. So simple, and please don't let the lack of a million ingredients fool you. Broccoli cooked in salted water is utter perfection. Easy, elegant. I hope you will try it. Now, let me show you how I like to serve this. As a first course for dinner parties, I like to serve broccoli soup pretty much the same way that Gordon Ramsay demonstrated. So I have some goat cheese here. Just put these in a shallow bowl. Ladle in the hot soup. Add a few cracks of black pepper and a swirl of olive oil. And then take your spoon and swirl the soup so that the goat cheese melts into the soup. A taste. So good. I love the green, earthy broccoli and the tang of the goat cheese. This is really a superb first course soup. Of course, you could enjoy it for lunch or really any time. And it's delicious, either hot or cold. Good morning. We have one more recipe to do, but I ran out of containers for my soups, so I ordered more from Amazon, and they arrived this morning. Actually ordered 2 sets. Oh, these look quite nice. These are actually heavier than the other soup containers I was using. These are really intended for the freezer, and apparently they are microwave safe as well. So they have screw-on lids, and each one holds 32 ounces or 4 cups. I'm going to wash all of these, and then we will get started on the next recipe. So our first course soup recipe is a beet soup. I sometimes call it a Be My Valentine beet soup because the first time I made it was for a Valentine's Day dinner party. And I've already prepped most of my ingredients, but I do need to peel 2.5 pounds of beets, which I have right here. And I'm going to wear food prep gloves when I peel the beets, otherwise my hands will turn purple. So 2.5 pounds of beets is roughly 4 good-sized beets. Besides the beets, we will also need 1 large chopped onion and a large yellow potato, roughly chopped. I chopped my potato earlier, and to stop it from oxidizing, I put it in water. We will need some thyme, salt, and vegetable stock, and a lemon. Let's head over to the cooktop. Olive oil, just a glug. Then I'm adding the onion and some salt and some fresh grinds of black pepper. Stir to coat. Then I will lower the heat, cover the pot, and let the onions sweat until they are tender. That will take about 5 minutes. All right, my onions are perfectly tender. Going to add the beets. The potato. 6 cups of vegetable stock. This is my own homemade vegetable stock. Each of these jars holds 4 cups. And a ½ teaspoon or thereabouts of dried thyme leaves. And we need to raise the heat and bring this to a boil. When the soup comes to a boil, lower the heat, cover the pot, and let the soup simmer until the potatoes and beets are perfectly tender. That will take from 20 to 30 minutes. And here is our beet soup. I let it cool for about 15 minutes. Now, this soup also includes the juice of 1 lemon. And then once again, we have to puree this soup. We will need to puree the soup in 2 batches. I forgot to add the lemon. Look at the color of this soup. And I should mention that it has a wonderful perfume. I think the scent of beets is really the scent of summer, even though we are making this soup in autumn. I said it before and I will say it again. This soup is gorgeous. I do need to taste the soup. It might need more salt. It does not need more salt. This is perfectly delicious. It's perfectly perfect in every way. I will let the soup cool to room temperature and then transfer it to my soup containers. For an elegant first course, I garnish this beet soup with a simple drizzle of sour cream. For Valentine's Day, I try to pour the sour cream in the shape of a heart. So our beet soup has cooled to room temperature, so now we can put it in these new containers. I rather like these containers. As I said earlier, they're pretty heavy and they are freezer safe and microwave safe. And of course, I can put the link in the description if you are interested in learning more about these containers. Well, just shy of 3 quarts. And of course, since I serve first course soups in small vessels like the teacups or the two-handled soup cups, a little soup goes a very long way as the first course at a dinner party. So we made 4 first course soups in this episode. We made 3 quarts of the classic leek soup and 2 quarts of the broccoli soup and 2.5 quarts of the red bell pepper soup and almost 3 full quarts of the beet soup. I will link recipes for all of these soups except for the broccoli soup because it doesn't require a recipe in the description box below. Thank you so much for spending time with me this week as we made these lovely soups. I hope you will give them a try, either for the first course at a dinner party, or really for any time, for lunch, for a casual dinner, or even breakfast. Again, all of these soups are delicious, hot, warm, or even cold from the fridge. If you enjoyed this video, I can put a couple of my other episodes at the end of this one that you can watch between now and my next upload. Until then, please take good care of yourself, and I will see you very soon. Bye, friends.